Welcome back. Happy Monday. Welcome back into Prime Sports World. On today's episode, we're going to give you a preview of the NBA free agency as it gets started. I think players can start to negotiate on June 30th, so that's right around the corner. I'm David Huppin. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you very much for checking us out. TJ Hopkins. What's up, TJ? Happy Monday, man. How are you?
Decent, solid flash, just killing time.
For sure. I went to the gym, or I got back to the gym just a few minutes ago, right? Before we started. Man, I shot the basketball so well. I don't know what I've been doing lately, but I've been shooting it like lights out over the last couple of days that I've been going to the gym. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's talk, actually, before we get into the free agents, let's talk about John Collins. I was pretty shocked when I read this trade when it got announced. John Collins going to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick. It opens up a massive trade exception, a $25.3 million, the largest trade exception, I think, in the history of the league. What was your reaction when you first heard about this trade? When that notification came across your phone, what was your reaction?
I was more shocked.
What were your thoughts on it?
I was more shocked at where he went. Nothing to add. Like John Collins hasn't been disgruntled down in Atlanta for a while now. They've also had several attempts to try to trade him before. They all fell through for whatever reason, and this definitely seemed like we can finally get it done. So get it done, move. Like all they would in return was Rudy Gay, who
expiring contracts. We basically opted into a $7 million player option, and in order to facilitate this trade,
a second round pick. Now, if Atlanta could have been greedy, they could have been like, "That's it. That's all you're offering." No, we want more. Like this is a guy that can give you 15 and 9 on a good day, right? Like if Atlanta really wanted to, they could have been greedy, but they just said, "All right, forget it, just get it done." Both sides end up happy. He's happy he's somewhere else. We're happy he's not here complaining.
The location is shocking to me because they just took Taylor Hendricks right in the first round. He's a power forward, right, who plays a lot like John Collins, or how they project him to play. He plays a lot like a three, shoot the three, can defend a little bit.
He ain't John Collins.
That's true. And I'm not shocked at all that this is all the compensation they got back, because the Hawks are thinking about the big long-term future here. DeJounte Murray is probably going to need a new deal. His contract's up, I think, after this season or next. Emeka Okongwu, I think, might be a free agent a restricted free agent next offseason. He's probably going to looking for a payday. And so at some point, a super max extension is going to be coming for Trae Young if they decide to keep him. And it's all about keeping your team underneath that threshold where you're going to be losing draft picks and you're losing, stuff out of your, because teams are now, because of the CBA, they're now having to make money decisions. Like they're not just trading, they're trading, like the Golden State Warriors traded Jordan Poole away. It wasn't to get Chris Paul. It was to get away from the Jordan Poole contract.
Chris Paul was just that luxury tax. Yeah,
100%. We're talking like $47 million or something crazy. I was legitimately shocked that this is all they got back for John Collins. He's a better player than this compensation, but I will be interested to see what the Hawks do with this trade exception. They have until the end of the season to use it. If you're not aware, you can use a trade exception to basically eat a contract. So you couldn't take the trade exception and combine it with a player and then trade it. You have to basically trade it for somebody who's making less than $25.3 million. That's the only way you can use this trade exception. And you can't combine players. Like you can't trade for two players, and combine their salaries to equal $25.3 million. So I will be very interested to see what they do with that trade exception.
Yeah. But it's for them to figure out, so.
And so one of the things I love about the NBA is all this kind of the moving, wheeling, and dealing. Real quick, we also haven't talked about the Chris Paul trade since that was first reported. Who do you think wins that trade? Chris Paul going to the Warriors and Jordan Poole going to the Wizards?
Well, Jordan Poole wins because he gets a fresh start. He ain't got him in the face in Washington. So again, when that first happened, you could tell it shifted the entire dynamic of the Golden State Warriors. Like this is the defending champs. They literally just won a championship, and now you got the guy that's supposed to be the glue, the engine to your team, punching the supposed to be heir apparent, like the next guy to take over. And the team never recovered from that, and you could tell. I think the issue that irked me was Steve Kerr and them being mad that they weren't mad that Draymond punched Jordan Poole.
Yep,
They were
they
mad
were mad.
that
They were mad that the video leaked.
got leaked, and now the whole world know that Draymond punched Jordan Poole.
And then as kind of like a semi-panic move, they extended Jordan Poole like right after it happened. I'm not necessarily sure if that punch doesn't happen, they don't make that. They make that move. I think that's actually. I personally think that's actually that trade is actually a win-win all around.
I mean, it's teams. A win-win as long as we already know the issue with Chris Paul. What's the issue with Chris Paul? It's a win-win as long as what? He stay healthy.
Stays healthy. Yep.
So that's and now you got 4 guys who you in the latter stages of their career you got to worry about their health because it ain't just Chris Paul. It ain't just Chris Paul now. Steph got injury problems. Clay got injury problems. Draymond got injury problems. So you got to worry about those 4 dudes constantly. So like you got to manage their minutes. You got to manage their games. I don't expect a lot of them to play. I don't expect the 4 of them to play a lot of back-to-backs. I don't expect a lot of them to do the whole 4 games in 6 nights, 5 nights, that kind of thing. I don't expect that to happen. They're also at a stage in their career where they don't give a damn about awards. Like the minimal threshold that you got to meet to qualify for certain things. So like that's a saving grace that they don't have to worry about. Like Steph Curry has 2 MVPs. He don't care if he wins another one. Draymond got a DPOY. He doesn't care if he wins another one. Like they got all that stuff.
I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with everything with the Warriors and hold on, so I'm updating something. I had a number wrong on this graphic here, so I'm gonna fix it real quick. But yeah, I think both those teams win. I think getting Chris Paul is an obvious win. And I think I'll be interested to see how the Warriors use Chris Paul, right? Like, are they going to have him come off the bench?
I don't know. I think they go. I think they go super small. I think they go Paul, Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Looney. I think that's the 5 they tried out.
I don't know. I mean, I think Chris Paul coming off the bench. Also, welcome to the show, CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Ezra Rivera. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's going on, guys?
No, because
we're just talking about the Chris Paul trade a little bit.
Because like we just talked about what's his name yesterday. The draft pick. I can't say his last name yet. I got.
Brandon Podzibazitsky, something like that.
How you say it is? You know, so again, you don't draft first round. Like you don't draft guys in the first round and don't play them. So you play like you bring him off the bench, have him run with Moody and Kuminga and the other young dudes on that roster. That way you can like, all right, we gonna try this again. We're gonna try the young core 2.0. We're gonna try this again. And hopefully this time go around nobody get punched.
Moving on from there, let's talk about the free agency. 2023 NBA free agency. Key dates to keep in mind here. June 29th is the last day for options to decisions. That includes player options, early termination options, whatever the other options are. June 30th is the first day that teams can negotiate with players. July 1st, players can agree in principle to deals. They cannot put pen to paper until July 6th. Notable free agents, the unrestricted, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Chris Middleton, Draymond Green, Russell Westbrook, Fred VanVleet, Brooke Lopez, Nikola Vucevic, Christian Wood, D'Angelo Russell, Dennis Schroeder, Derrick Rose, Jeremy Grant, Harrison Barnes, Kyle Kuzma. And then on the restricted side, I thought there'd be more names than this, but really there are only these guys. Grant Williams, Cam Johnson, Austin Reeves, and Nazir Little of the Portland Trailblazers. salary cap is expected to be 136 million. That's a $12 million increase from the season before. Teams with cap space: Rockets, Jazz, Mavericks, Pacers, Pistons. Teams with the least amount of cap space: Blazers, Suns, Mavericks, Clippers, Sixers. So what do we see happening when it comes to free agency, and what do you think will be the first domino to fall?
Get those numbers, baby.
The
Man,
first
I think the
domino to
first
fall.
domino to fall is definitely got to be Kyrie Irving, or I mean, yeah, either Kyrie Irving, maybe Draymond Green, because I think he's just coming right back to Golden State, you know. But I have to say Kyrie Irving or Draymond Green.
Yeah, I think those who have the opportunity to keep their own those will be the first dominoes.
Well, I think the important part to really think about here is the teams that have cap space are probably not getting free agents. Like, is Kyrie Irving signed with the Rockets, Jazz, Spurs, Pacers, or Pistons? Probably not.
No.
The only scenario that I could see Draymond Green potentially going to Detroit, he went to Michigan State.
No,
right. That's home. That's home. That's literally home. Like, dude is from Saginaw, Michigan. Like, that's home.
Yeah. So that's and the Pistons can offer him a buttload of money if he wanted to leave. But also we've learned over the last 2 years, not having cap space doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. I mean, we had the Miami Heat were able to get Jimmy Butler when they had no cap space. The Bulls a few years ago were able to manipulate the cap space and get 2 guys, even though they didn't have any money to spend. Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. The NBA free agency has gotten extremely interesting because it's become a game where you can just manipulate the salary cap. Teams have found a way. The Dallas Mavericks have created some salary cap. Though it says there's $67 million in the hole there, but that does not include like their cap holds on like Kyrie Irving, and all that kind of stuff. Like Clippers as well. Sixers have a cap hold on James Harden. Rockets, the Blazers have a cap hold on Jeremy Grant currently that they could relinquish and free up some cap space. So those numbers are a little misleading. But
my point stands. I think those who can re-sign with their teams, those are the first dominoes to fall because a lot of those players, that will be the most money they can get. Chris Middleton
every single player will be the most money they can get. You can always make more money when you sign back to the team you're on. Plus, you get an extra year.
The only way I don't see certain free agents staying is if that team isn't going to be competitive for the foreseeable future. Like I don't see. I'm not finna act like I want to see Kyrie stay in Dallas. I want to see that dynamic get more than the 16 games they got before it all went to hell. I don't know what the plan is for James Harden in Philly. I don't even know James Harden know what he want to do. Like that, the talks of him going back to Houston have calmed down a little bit. Like I haven't heard anything else on that since those first initial talking points. I don't know why Chris Middleton turned down his option. Like I really don't get it.
He's going to sign probably for like $45 million a year over
like,
4 or 5 seasons.
Draymond has said he'll talk to other teams, but it's all expected he'll go back to Golden State.
He ain't going nowhere.
Westbrook
and those are just the big names. Like I didn't include like some of these lesser free agents. Like there are other guys like that are on. Like Bruce Brown is an unrestricted free agent, was really important for that Denver team. Josh Hart has a player option that they've extended the deadline on. Max Strus is unrestricted. Seth Curry's unrestricted. Karis LeVert is unrestricted. Malik Beasley can potentially become a free agent with the team option. Dante DiVincenzo has a player option. Josh Okogie is under.
You said Seth Curry?
Yeah, Seth Curry.
Okay, it sounded like you said Steph for a minute, but yeah, like Westbrook should stay where he's at. Like the Clippers use him the right way, and we saw the benefit of that. The only one of this list I can see leaving is Van Vliet. Like I can see Freddie leaving. I can see Christian Wood getting up out of there.
Well, the reports are that the Dallas Mavericks have no intentions of re-signing him, so he will probably not be back. With them drafting Derek Lively, kind of takes up that Christian Wood role.
And D'Angelo Russell has pretty much gotten ran out of LA
for the second time.
for the second time. Yeah, I don't know why they would get rid of Schroeder. Rose is probably going to make some contending team happy. Like I'm not again. This is a dude. Last time we saw him play meaningful basketball, he was the Knicks' best player in a playoff series. It's not his fault that Julius Randle decided to wet the bed. Not his fault at all. Which brand
I
is
think
that?
I think the concern there with the Westbrook is because of the cap situation for the Clippers. They can only offer him like he would have to take a considerable pay cut if he wanted to stay in LA next season compared to what Russell Westbrook could potentially make on the open market. Like we're talking like Russell Westbrook's still a $20 million guy, right? And
Yeah.
he can't make anywhere close to that on the Clippers. Like we're talking like a $3 million contract. That's the max they can offer him.
So
So I mean, is he gonna at the point of his career where he's gonna where he cares if he loses $17 million? I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he wants to go to like where he can potentially win.
well, if you most got like what was the buyout from Utah? What was that?
I mean, 44 million, whatever it was.
And the Clippers
45.
paid him how much? He paid how much to go to LA?
They paid him the veteran minimum last season, which is like $800,000.
So you don't do that if you don't care about the money. Like if you care about the money, like you, if you go,
yeah, true. But I mean, we're talking a buyout. I mean, you're not losing that much money. I mean, we're talking $17 million is a ton of money to just leave on the table.
That's a ton of money.
Like
not for him.
Russell Westbrook's made a lot of money in his career. Like he signed a super max contract, paying him $40 million a year over the last 5 years. Like he's made a lot of money, so maybe he wants to focus on winning. But $17 million is still $17 million.
I can see, out of these teams that have some cap space, I can see like the James Harden rumor that has kind of come into play here. It's kind of picked up some steam since it's come out, right? Going back to Houston, especially with the young pieces that they have. I could see that. I can see, maybe a guy like Van Fleet either signing with the team like maybe the Utah Jazz or the San Antonio Spurs. If they are able to offer him, if they are able to offer him what he wants, right? All these other guys though, like Irvin, I mean, I don't really see like I think he has to run it back I think he runs it back in Dallas. I think Middleton runs it back in Milwaukee. I think exactly. Another moving piece is probably Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is probably most likely.
I don't see him leaving.
I think Brook Lopez is gone. I think he's.
I think the problem with Milwaukee is their like tax threshold, like being able to they'll be if they sign, let's say they bring back Chris Middleton at $40 million a year over the next 5 years, and then they bring Brook Lopez back at $20 million, assuming that's probably what his contract's worth. They'll be stuck. Like there will be nobody else. They will only have veteran minimums to fill out the rest of their roster, and they'll have all their money tied up into. And that doesn't even include the Giannis Supermax contract that is eventually coming next offseason. I think they might even be able to offer him now.
Okay. I think they're gonna wait till next offseason. Well, they
can offer him now. I mean, if he doesn't accept it, I think you have another conversation, right?
It is now known that Giannis did play a role in Budenholzer getting put out, and that could be a case of, all right, this guy's been here I don't know how many years, and the message just ain't hidden how it used to, like in the early stages, and da 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 da. So like that was we've grown complacent type firing, and we also saw how that series against Miami went. Obviously, Giannis doesn't hurt his back; it's a different story. But the coaching lapses down the stretch, you don't expect that from a guy like Mike Budenholzer. Like there was some head scratching coaching by him down the stretch in clutch moments, like not fouling, not calling timeouts in certain situations. not challenging certain calls. Like, yeah, you don't. I understand he was going through a lot. I get it, but at the same time, if you can't deal with it and do your job, then take the time. Like, do what you gotta do. Take time away. I also think a sneaky.
It's hard to do that in like the middle of a playoff series.
I get that, but at the same time, if you can't do that, then hey, try to keep your personal life out of this. As insensitive as that sounds, like fans don't care. All they know is you were the number one seed in the whole NBA, and you got bounced by an 8 seed
5 games.
in 5 games in embarrassing fashion.
I mean, you let double-digit leads in 2 of those games.
Two of those, like
in 4 and 5, you're up by over 10 going into fourth quarter. But swinging back into free agency,
money
I think
bags.
Kyle Kuzma makes a team. I think that's going to be a sneaky free agent signing. Whoever gets him.
Yeah, and I also think the same thing about Harrison Barnes. I know the Sacramento Kings opened up some cap space when they traded away Rashawn Holmes. They have a mini trade exception that they can also use to sign if they want to use there as well.
Most of these guys are staying put though. In my,
I think
opinion.
Jeremy Grant is. I think Jeremy Grant could potentially be on the move,
especially some of the bigger names. I don't know about I don't know about Van Fleet, man. You know, that would be interesting if Van Fleet went to. He looks like a Utah or San Antonio guy. Fred Van Fleet.
I mean, you can
make
the
the
argument
money.
if Utah can pick up some pieces here in free agency. I mean, they could be competitive next season potentially. I mean, there was a point in this last season where they were like the 3 seed in the Western Conference at one point, and then they came back down to earth a little bit. But the way that they've drafted, I mean, getting John Collins, I mean, another season with Collins Sexton, a year removed from an injury where you can actually work on his game and not have to worry about his rehab. I mean, that we're talking about a Utah team that it could be a playoff team next season, depending on how things shake out.
If you can add a guy like Van Fleet to your, like an all-star caliber, you can be right back in the playoffs.
Or Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton. Those guys are like, they're not like those. They have the cachet like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, obviously, right? So those are like those second-tier all-stars that would like to play in a smaller market like that. They've done it already. So,
and then the question about Nikola Vucevic. You guys see a scenario where he's not a Chicago Bull next season?
No.
No, I think they run all that back.
I think there is a scenario where they maybe think about if, like, depending on like. I think there could be a scenario where he doesn't play. He doesn't on the Chicago Bulls next season. Where he goes is kind of an interesting debate. I could see him being moved into some sort of sign and trade. I think Austin Reeves also probably goes back to LA. I think Cam Johnson ends up back in Brooklyn. Grant Williams is probably staying in Boston. Are there any names on the list, maybe guys that I don't have listed here, that you think are sneaky low-key good free agents to kind of keep your eye on when it comes to this free agency cycle?
Unrestricted
or restricted. I mean, Kobe White. What are we expecting Kobe White to do?
I don't think. Do you have like Josh Richardson on there? Do you have like Dylan Brooks on there? What about Kelly Oubre? Kelly Oubre is an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks. I like that. Like, Dylan Brooks just got humbled. Like, that's exactly. Like, Dylan Brooks got humbled. Like,
Dylan Brooks is going to be an unrestricted free agent, so he's free to sign with any team.
Yeah, he got humbled. Like,
Josh Richardson is actually not a free agent, so I think he's still under contract because I don't have him listed as a free agent.
Yeah,
currently
he humbled because he did all that. He did all that jaw action. Didn't play well at all. And then the team that he thought had his back was like, yeah, bro, you out of here. Like, you're gone. But and not only did they say you're gone, they said under no circumstances will you be back. So you got humbled. Like, the market for Dylan Brooks couldn't be any lower than what it is right now.
It's true.
Like, nobody is jumping on, hey man, we can get Dylan Brooks and he can put us over the top. Like, no, they're not doing that. Like, if Boston was to go out and sign Dylan Brooks, that would be looked at as a downgrade.
What about a guy like Terrence Davis that can come off your bench and put up 10 to 15 in a hurry. You know, he was doing it for Sacramento as well, you know, all last season. What about Kendrick Nunn?
I mean, Kendrick Nunn hasn't played meaningful basketball in a while. It feels like,
since the
um,
bubble.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. Kobe White is another guy who's an interesting restricted free agent. You know, his
Uh,
time in Chicago was very hit or
Up
miss.
and
Uh,
super up and down, way more down than up, if depending on who you
yeah,
ask.
I mean, how motivated should the Bulls be to keep him?
I
What
think it
about
depends on what
Seth Curry?
Seth Curry can help every team. Any
Yeah,
like
I mean, when he shoots a 40% clip from the 3-point line, any team could use a Seth Curry on their roster.
right, any team can use Seth Curry. But back to Kobe White, I think his free agency depends on what he does this season. This is a big season for a lot of dudes on this Bulls team.
I mean, but if the Bulls don't commit to him, he's not going to be back on this team next season.
Okay, that's
Unless
next
unless
season.
they extend him the qualifying. Like, no, he's a free agent right now.
Then stop saying next season.
Like,
You
he's a
make
free agent today. Like, on July 1st, he will be a free agent. Like, he can sign with any other team in the NBA. Same thing with Ayo Dosunmu. I mean, how motivated should the Bulls be to keep him?
The only reason his contract was so low because he was a second round draft pick.
Karis LeVert.
That could be a sneaky signing. I don't know who would. For whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked. Like he don't click with the teams he's been on. Like for whatever reason, it just. I mean, I think
talented. I mean, he can score. I mean, he's a 3-level scorer. You know,
I think
I'm not really sure.
I think the best ball he's ever played was when he was in. Obviously, when he was in Brooklyn, but obviously, and they move off of him because you bring in Kyrie, KD, and James Harden. So it's like, yeah, to get
when he
Crowder.
was the only piece left in Brooklyn that season that Kevin Durant was still recovering from the torn Achilles. Kyrie Irving was out already for some reason, but when that playoff series, I mean,
yeah,
Karis LeVert balled out.
Yeah, he was open in the bubble. He was open.
Yeah,
he was open.
Jay Crowder.
No, I think Jay Crowder.
I think that's
so Jay Crowder. People are going to make a big deal about wherever he ends up signing, right? People are going to be like, "Oh my God, I got Jay Crowder," and he's not going to do anything. But bro, people are excited. How excited people were excited when he got to Milwaukee. They're like, "Oh my God, they got Jay Crowder." How useful was he?
Hey, bro, like,
not at all.
He a dark, he a dark skinned PJ Tucker. Like they,
I mean, Rui Hachimura is a restricted free agent. PJ Washington, another restricted free agent.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Well, I already said AR Reeves, Rui. I don't expect them to leave the Lakers.
Help your team.
All right, I don't expect them to leave the Lakers. The Lakers will be damn fools if they let those two dudes walk, especially after the playoff run they just had. Like, I would be hard pressed to see Rui and Reeves play ball elsewhere unless they just get deals that the Lakers just can't match for whatever reason.
Jock Landale, another guy who's a restricted free agent for the Phoenix Suns, was playing more minutes than DeAndre in spurts during the playoffs.
A guy like Mason Plumlee, that is a free agent as well.
See, he's somebody who can help a team. Like, he's still a really good passer.
The Lakers.
Like, I mean, he was on the Clippers this most recent season. Real quick, so let's just go through this. Real quick prediction of where you think this guy's going to play next season. Kyrie Irving.
Dallas.
Lakers. Harden.
Houston.
Oh.
Philadelphia.
Philly. Yeah, I'm going Philly.
Chris Middleton.
Milwaukee. Miami.
I'm gonna say Utah. I like that Utah
idea. Ooh, I like that.
Draymond Green.
Golden State.
Golden State. Westbrook.
Clippers.
I guess I'm gonna go Clippers too, but I because I don't know where else he would go. Fred VanVleet.
This is the only way I don't see AR-15 returning. He goes to Lakers.
Fred VanVleet. I'm going Fred VanVleet to the Jazz.
I'm gonna go Jazz too. TJ.
I said Lakers.
Oh, my bad. Brook Lopez.
Milwaukee.
Nikola Vucevic.
Chicago.
Chicago.
I'm gonna go Chicago too. I really can't pick another team where he would go to.
Yeah.
Christian Wood.
Oh, Dallas.
Chicago.
I'm gonna go San Antonio.
Oh man, that'd be
I
nasty. Him and Wemby.
I'm gonna go Chicago. I'm gonna
D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell.
Mm, would also not be a bad fit in Chicago. But full.
I'm gonna go LA. I'm gonna stay with LA because they play really well down the stretch. I think they're gonna run it back in LA actually with the same team that they have or had. Except they'll add a guy like Mason. They'll add 2 backup centers like they did when they won a championship with Plumlee. They'll add like something like Plumlee and maybe go get like a makeshift guy that they can find.
We still on D'Angelo. New Orleans.
Oh, I like that.
I don't know. I guess I'll put him in. I'll put him in Indiana. I guess. I honestly have no idea.
Man, don't say something just to say something. Like,
I don't have a clue. I have no idea where D'Angelo Russell's going to play. All right, I have no idea. He won't be back in LA. I don't think. 2, Dennis Schroeder.
Stays in LA.
Dennis Schroeder.
I think he stays as a Laker
to the Celtics.
Back to Boston.
Back to Boston. How well that worked out last time.
Hey, that was his fault. He turned down the bag. Hey bro, stop lying.
He didn't even make it through the whole season there. They traded him away in the middle of the year.
Right. Stop lying to say, hey, and I'm more upset that he lied talking about he didn't get offered that deal that they. I'm like, yes, you did, dude. Like, you definitely got offered that.
Derrick Rose. I'm gonna go Milwaukee for Derrick Rose.
Phoenix.
Man, I'm going Phoenix as well, TJ. I was going back and forth. I was thinking Golden State, but then I was like, no,
why I
say
got the Elder
statesman.
You want to know why I say Isaiah Thomas has his handprints all over the Phoenix Suns. He's the one making the making moves and consulting behind the scenes. Isaiah Thomas, like he gonna look out for one of his own. Chicago kid gonna get another Chicago kid to the desert.
Jeremy Grant.
Man,
damn.
I would love Jeremy Grant in Chicago. Actually,
I would too. I would
love Jeremy Grant in Chicago.
But just for that,
I'm gonna say Jeremy Grant in Chicago. I'm gonna say Jeremy Grant in Chicago, but I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna think he's gonna stay in Portland. I think he resigns with the Trailblazers.
I'd love a player like Jeremy Grant, somebody that can do it all at the 4, can play the 3. Yeah.
If they don't trade for Siakam, Atlanta.
I like that too. I like that too. Harrison Barnes.
He's not staying in Sacramento.
Back to Golden State.
I was gonna say back to Golden State too.
I'm gonna put him in one of his old cities too. I'm gonna say he goes to Dallas.
You go back to Dallas?
Back to Dallas? Ooh, that's a good one.
You gonna trade? You gonna go back to the place that traded you mid-game? They didn't wait for you.
I like Golden State.
I mean, Izzy's got Dennis Schroeder going back to Boston, so let's roll with it.
I like Golden State. I like Golden State too for Harrison.
And then finally, Kyle Kuzma. Where do you guys see Kyle Kuzma ending up?
Kuzma.
I got it. Sacramento.
I think. Yeah. Kuzma wants to win.
I think he can win in Sacramento. Let me tell you. Put him next to.
I like Sacramento actually.
Put him next to Sabonis, fan. I think they'd be doing some stuff there.
I actually like that Sacramento, man. Either like Sacramento, New Orleans, if they could afford them. Man, Kuzma would be a better replacement for what's his name, Tobias Harris in Philly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Indy.
Yeah.
Indiana.
And then finally, do we expect any of these restricted free agents to leave the team that they're on? Grant Williams, Cam Johnson, Austin Reeves, and Azir Little.
Grant, no. Yes. I think Grant Williams leaves.
I think so too. I think he gets a contract. I don't think Boston will be able to afford it.
They don't want to afford, right? Yeah, that is true.
Well,
Yeah, I think
because
Austin
again,
Reeves
like
stays.
it's already no secret that we're expecting some kind of breakup in Boston anyway. Again, Jaylen Brown hasn't gotten his max yet. We already know the deal that Jason Tatum is going to get offered next year, and that's going to be north of 300. That might be the first $300 million. Yeah, that's going to be the first $300 million contract in NBA history. You do not want to have over $600 million tied up into two players who, quite frankly, I think that relationship has run its course in Boston, in my opinion. 5 Eastern Conference Finals appearances, one finals appearance. I think that's gone as far as it can go.
And they doing it. They doing it in on the East when, it's no LeBron.
Right, they doing it right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be monitoring free agency. So as we get through the program process here, we will have our winners and losers show, and we'll have a full in-depth analysis of all the big player movement.
First off, did y'all see, speaking of Tobias Harris, did y'all see the asking price that
I did see? Oh man. I
like,
gotta be smoking what Daryl Morley's smoking, man, for real.
like I would love to. Like, I need that. Whatever he on, I need parts because I need parts of that because I don't know what have you seen that makes Tobias Harris worth what you're asking for. Again, I've said it since day one. Ben Simmons playing terribly has allowed him to play like his play to like literally go under the radar. Every time, like Tobias Harris just escapes criticism every time.
All the time. He's such a nice guy. He's such a
I don't give a damn.
Citizen, right?
We don't know anything about him.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's what they portray, though. Bobby.
No, because you want
he's such a nice guy. Oh, the whole Ritz Bits crackers, whatever they're doing over there.
Like, cause you want to know what it is. You want because a real teammate
goldfish. My bad, goldfish.
Yeah, a real teammate when he saw his other teammate getting literally thrown under the bus would have said, "No, it ain't just on Ben. I played bad. Joel played bad. Like everybody played bad. Like,
but that's not the way it works out." So thank you very much for checking us out. This has been our NBA free agency preview. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. David Huffman, Israel Rivera, TJ Hopkins, and gentlemen, what we do here at the Prime, my friends.
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
It's gonna be a long 4 days because they're gonna talk about Damian Lillard till they can't talk about Dame no more, and I'm sick of it.
Like Kendrick Perkins. We'll be back here on Wednesday for our 800th episode special. You don't want to miss that content. You all have a good night and stay safe out there. Peace out, guys.
See you.